Okay, so here's a how-to video for hooking up your StrongVPN OpenVPN account with your DD WRT router, installing it and getting it running. Having its DD WRT router with a VPN account on it is quite popular, and it has a lot of advantages. I mean, you can hook up your PlayStation, your iPhone, any of your media devices can connect to it. You can have multiple computers in your home on one VPN account, so it's quite popular. It's a little challenging, but hopefully this how-to video will help some of you guys get it running. Now, there's a few things you got to have before you get it running, and that's of course one, you'll need an OpenVPN account with StrongVPN.com. You'll need the in setup instructions. You have to have the archive file that we sent you and unzipped, which will have the files in it that we're going to use to load on the router. And what you should do is, before you attempt this, is just make sure that you can run your OpenVPN account on your computer, not through the router, but just load it on your computer and make sure you can connect and surf through it normally. If you can do it with your computer, then the router should work too. Don't try to troubleshoot things within the router. It'll drive you crazy. Much easier. Make sure it works on the computer, then go to the router. Of course, you're going to need also a flashed router that's running DD WRT. And there's a lot of routers out there that are compatible with DD WRT, but there's a few that we suggest on our page. Here's the link that you can see. The one I'm working on today is a Cisco 320N. It works really well. We've loaded a bunch of them, and we haven't had any problems. So try to stick. If you're going to buy a router, try to stick with what we suggest here. That way, you're not going to run into any problems with all the different versions of firmware they have for DD WRT. So once you've flashed it and you're running the router, the firmware on DD WRT, you're going to go ahead and need one more thing to do before we start this process. Is you'll want a utility that allow you to connect to your router and upload a file to it. And the one we're using here today is winscp.net. There's the URL. You can download it. It's free. It's a pretty simple program. I'll show you how to use it towards the end here, and just go ahead and download that and install it. I'm going to use it here, and then you'll see what it looks like. So what you're going to need to do when you start this process is the loaded default settings of DD WRT are not going to have everything enabled for you to be able to get the OpenVPN files onto the router. So I'm going to show you what you need to enable first before you connect to the router. You're going to go to the administration page, and I'm going to go ahead and log in so I can do that. And on the administration page, there is the secure shell management. You want that enabled, and you want to make it for port 22. Telnet, default port is 23. And then you're going to want to go to services and enable the SSHD right here, and also the log. And once you do that, you want to hit apply settings and reboot the router. Once you go ahead and reboot the router, you should be able to do what I'm about to do next, which is use that utility, the WinSCP, to connect to the router. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to open up the utility here, and it's going to ask me for the host name, which, as you can see, is 192.168.189.1 on my router. Now I'm making assumptions here that you set up your router on a different IP on your network. You know how to do that, and you basically got the router running. If you're not sure about all that stuff, then check these how-to pages on how to flash your router, because really this is just a point on how to load the OpenVPN file, how-to on how to do that onto your DD WRT router. But we do have these help pages here, as you can see, that will help you with that. Okay, so the host name, there's the IP address, and the username would be the username that you're setting to get into the router admin page. I've I've got both of those in there now. Port number is 22, and as you can see before from the administration services tab here, that's exactly what it should be. And then the protocol type is going to be SCP. So from here, what I'm going to do is make a connection to the router using this utility. I'm going to go ahead and hit login. It's found it. That's an authentication banner saying it's okay, so I'm just going to hit continue here. It's authenticated, and it should pop up here. Okay, it gives you a groups warning, just ignore that. Alright, so now I'm in, and as you can see, I'm in the root level. Now, our instructions call for it to be uploaded to the temp directory. I'll show you how to get there. From here, you're just going to go up one level by double clicking, and then now, as you can see, I'm in the temp directory. So by default, you log in the root, just go up one directory, you're in the temp. Now, my OpenVPN files for my account is in my download directory, so I'm going to go to my C drive, and then from there I'm going to go to downloads, and then you can see here's my VPN account folder. I'm going to go ahead and open that, and the file that I want to transfer over is this one right here, DD WRT.sh. So just simply drag and drop it over here, and it gives you a copy dialog box. Just go ahead and hit copy, and it copied it over. So from here, I've copied over the file, and it's on the router. Now the next step that I need to do is actually make a connection to the router and perform a couple commands. Now I'm in a Windows 7 box, so I'm just going to type CMD to bring up a DOS prompt. So I'm going to telnet into the router right now, and I'm just going to type in telnet 192.168.189.1. hit enter. I'm going to log in just like I did with the utility, and I'm at the prompt. Now from here, what I want to do is run a command that will get the OpenVPN files initiated on this router, and the command is sh space /tmp/OVPN, and then the number. So don't put my number in, put your number in, 047, and then underscore ddwrt.sh, and then I'm going to hit enter. So you understand that you're going to put your file name in. Once you get it in there, after this command, you hit enter. As you can see, it gave a size reading, which is good. Now at this point, the router has the file, and that's essentially it. I'm going to type a reboot command. It's going to reboot, and as long as I have a connection to the internet, to that router, into the internet port side, into from your other router that you have, and I reboot this router and it has a good net connection, it should connect to your OpenVPN account. And I'll show in another tutorial how to actually run some commands to troubleshoot it, but for now, that's it. That's all you need to do to connect your router to your OpenVPN account with StrongVPN. We welcome questions, and of course we're on live help if you need us. Thank you.